There's a kind of strength that doesn't make noise. It doesn't boast, it doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't fight to be seen. It simply is. In a world full of shouting, showing off, and nonstop validation seeking, that kind of strength is rare. It's the strength of silence. You see, silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the world or avoiding life. Silence means you've chosen peace over proving. You've chosen discipline over distraction. You've chosen to build, to focus, to rise, without the need to announce every step of the climb. Because the truth is, when you're confident in where you're going, you don't feel the need to explain yourself along the way. There's a quiet power in the person who isn't rattled by noise, the one who doesn't respond to every insult, the one who doesn't chase every argument or clap back at every opinion. That's real control, because anyone can react, anyone can shout back, but not everyone can stay calm, centered, and locked into their purpose. Think about the strongest people you know. They don't brag about what they're doing. They don't tell you every detail of their plan. They don't scream for attention. They let their actions, their consistency, their character do the talking. That's because they understand something most people never will. Energy is precious, and when you waste it on noise, you lose momentum. When you speak just to be heard, you often say nothing that matters. But when you stay silent, when you observe, when you move in alignment with your mission, your presence says more than your words ever could. There's also something deeply strategic about silence. When you're quiet, you hear more, you see more, you become more aware, not only of others, but of yourself. You begin to notice your patterns, your thoughts, your triggers, and in that awareness you grow, you refine, you gain wisdom. Because growth doesn't always happen in the spotlight. Sometimes it happens in solitude. And yes, silence can be uncomfortable, especially in a world that teaches us to talk more, share more, post more. But discomfort is often the beginning of strength. Silence trains your mind. It builds your patience. It teaches you that not everything needs a reaction, that not every battle is yours to fight, that your peace is more valuable than being right. So when life tries to pull you into the noise, when people misunderstand you, underestimate you, or try to provoke you, remember this: you don't owe the world a reaction. You don't need to defend every choice or explain every move. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing and keep going. Keep working, keep building, keep becoming. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them doubt. Because one day, when the time is right, your silence will echo louder than their noise. And when they finally see what you've become, you won't have to say a word. There's something powerful about moving in silence, something sacred. You don't have to broadcast every dream, every plan, every battle you're fighting behind the scenes. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your journey. Not everyone is meant to understand your process. And not everyone is equipped to handle the depth of your transformation. Too often, we look for validation in the wrong places. We tell the wrong people too much, hoping they'll cheer us on, hoping they'll understand. But what we forget is that some people can't see past their own limits. They'll project their fears onto you. They'll discourage you, not because you can't do it, but because they never did. They haven't seen what you've seen. They haven't walked your path, carried your burdens, felt your fire. So why hand over your journey like it's something anyone can casually hold? You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to explain why you're taking a break from the noise, why you've cut off certain people, why you're no longer available for distractions. That's between you and your purpose. And real growth, the kind that changes your life, rarely happens out loud. It happens in the shadows, in the long nights, in the quiet moments where you wrestle with your own mind and refuse to give up. And maybe they'll talk. Maybe they'll say you've changed, that you've gone distant, that you're acting different. Let them. They're not supposed to understand what you're building, because this chapter of your life is not for public consumption. It's personal, it's intentional, and it's sacred. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop giving people access to every corner of your life. You begin to protect your energy. You become selective with your time, your conversations, your presence. You start asking, does this serve my growth, or is it a distraction in disguise? You learn that not every voice deserves a response, and not every opinion deserves a seat at your table. Some people were only meant to witness the old version of you. They're not qualified to walk with you into the next season. That's not bitterness. That's maturity. That's self-respect. That's understanding the value of privacy when you're rebuilding, because when you're really locked in, when you're focused, healing, leveling up, you don't have time to explain yourself. You're not trying to convince the world. You're doing better. You're becoming better, quietly, daily, relentless. So take back your power. Let your silence be your boundary. Let your progress be your response. Don't chase applause. Don't beg to be understood. Just keep walking. Keep working. Keep your eyes on the path, not the crowd. Because when the time is right, they won't just see what you've done. They'll feel it. And when they finally realize how far you've come, they'll understand that your silence wasn't distance, it was elevation. And by then, you won't need to say a word. There comes a moment in your life when you realize peace is not something you stumble upon by accident. It's something you choose. And to protect that peace, to guard your energy, you have to be willing to withdraw from the chaos. Not run from it, not fear it, but rise above it. Because not everything deserves your presence. Not every argument is worth your voice, and not every storm requires you to step outside and get wet. Chaos has a way of disguising itself as urgency, as importance, as responsibility, but often it's just noise, distractions dressed as obligations, drama that wants to pull you in and drain you. And you've got to ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it just keeping me busy? You see, some people feed off chaos. They don't feel alive unless something's wrong, unless there's something to gossip about, fight about, stress about. But that's not your rhythm anymore. That's not your tempo. When you're building something real, when you're working on yourself, when you're healing, evolving, focusing, you start to realize how expensive your energy is. You can't give it away freely like you used to. You have to become intentional with where it flows. Not everyone should have access to your mind. Not every event deserves a reaction, because what you feed grows. And the more you feed chaos, the more it multiplies in your life. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is simply not engage. Let them talk. Let the situation play out without you. Choose not to respond, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You've learned that silence doesn't mean surrender. It means strategy. You don't rise by fighting every battle. You rise by knowing which ones matter and which ones only exist to still your focus. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to not explain. It's okay to remove yourself from environments, people, and habits that no longer align with your peace. That's not quitting. That's maturity. That's choosing your growth over temporary chaos. That's recognizing that not everything chaotic is your problem to solve, and not everything that demands your attention is worth your time. There's a certain calm that takes over your life when you realize you don't have to react to everything. You don't have to be in the middle of the storm to prove your strength. Sometimes the most powerful move is to step back, to breathe, to realign with your purpose, to understand that your peace is sacred, and you will no longer sacrifice it just to keep others comfortable in their dysfunction. Withdraw with dignity. Step back with grace. Not every departure needs a statement. Let the chaos wonder why you're no longer available. Let the noise echo into silence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. You're doing this for your mind, your mission, your future. Because you've come too far to let chaos pull you back into places you've already outgrown. And when you move like that, calm, grounded, unwavering, there's nothing louder than your quiet. There's a moment, somewhere along the road, when you stop chasing approval and start chasing growth. When the need to be seen, to be clapped for, to be told you're enough, fades. And in its place, there's something deeper, a quiet knowing, a strength that doesn't scream, a confidence that doesn't require an audience. You've worked on yourself, day by day, layer by layer. And now you don't need to speak for validation because your life speaks for you. It takes time to get there. At first, you want the world to notice your effort. You want people to recognize how far you've come. You want someone to say, I see you. And that's human. But if you're not careful, you'll start performing instead of progressing. You'll start shaping your growth around applause rather than truth. And that's where so many lose themselves, trying to be impressive instead of being real. But real growth, it's quiet. It happens behind closed doors, in the early mornings when no one's watching, in the late nights when you're wrestling with your own weaknesses. It happens when you choose discipline over comfort, when you decide to show up even when motivation is gone. That kind of work builds something the world can't give you and the world can't take away. The ones who grow in silence, who sharpen themselves without broadcasting it, they're different. You can feel it when they walk into the room. There's no desperation, no need to prove anything. They're just present, solid, rooted, because they know who they are, and they didn't find it in someone else's approval. They found it in their own effort. And that's the goal, to become so grounded, so sure of yourself, that you no longer look outward for worth. You don't need the likes. You don't need the compliments. You don't even need to explain what you're doing. You just do the work. Day after day, quietly, faithfully, relentlessly, until the results speak on your behalf. Because there's a difference between confidence and noise. Confidence is built in silence. It's the result of promises kept to yourself. It's what happens when you've failed, gotten back up, failed again, and kept going. And one day you wake up and realize you don't need anyone to tell you you're doing well. You know you are. People might not notice at first. That's okay. This journey isn't about them. It's about becoming someone you're proud of when no one's around. It's about building a life so aligned with who you truly are that validation becomes irrelevant. You're no longer chasing recognition. You're chasing mastery. You're not trying to be seen. You're trying to become. And that changes everything. So keep working. Keep showing up for yourself. Let the outside world wonder what you're doing. Let them guess why you've gone quiet. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just build. Because one day they'll see. And when they do, you won't need to say a thing. You'll already be living the answer. Sometimes the world gets so loud, you forget what your own voice sounds like. The noise never stops. Everyone has something to say, something to post, something to prove. But in all that noise, something priceless gets lost. You, your clarity, your direction, your voice. That's why silence is not just a break from the world. It's a return to yourself. You see, there's a reason the most profound realizations come when things get quiet. Late at night, early in the morning, walking alone with your thoughts. That's when it happens. That's when the truth starts to whisper, not the truth the world tells you, not the one your ego wants to hear, the real truth, the one buried beneath all the opinions, expectations, and noise. Silence gives you space to hear it. You start to notice things you used to ignore, the way you speak to yourself, the way you react to discomfort, the thoughts you entertain. You begin to see your patterns, what lifts you up, what pulls you down, what you've been running from. That's self-awareness. And it doesn't come from talking. It doesn't come from explaining yourself to others. It comes from listening deeply. Most people don't sit in silence because they're afraid of what they might hear. They stay busy, distracted, constantly consuming. Because facing yourself takes courage. But if you can sit with the silence long enough, something beautiful happens. You stop judging, you stop running, you begin to understand yourself. And from that understanding comes vision. You begin to see your life with fresh eyes. You remember what actually matters. You realize you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to chase what everyone else is chasing. You start asking bigger questions. What am I really here for? What do I want my life to mean? What kind of legacy am I building with the choices I make every day? Those answers don't come in the noise. They're born in the stillness. And once you've heard them, really heard them, everything shifts. You begin to move differently. You stop reacting to every little thing. You stop seeking constant input. You become more intentional, more grounded. You start choosing purpose over pressure, vision over impulse. And the beautiful part? You don't have to tell the world about it. You just start living it quietly, consistently, and your life begins to reflect it, not because you said so, but because it shows. That's the power of silence. It doesn't just keep you calm, it sharpens your mind, it aligns your spirit, it clears the path so your vision can finally take the lead. The world will try to pull you back into the noise. It will tempt you to shout, to compare, to explain yourself. But you'll know better. You'll know that real strength, real wisdom, real direction, they don't shout. They whisper. And those who've taken the time to listen, they walk with clarity that no storm can shake. So take time for the silence, protect it, honor it, because in that stillness, you won't just find peace, you'll find you. And once you've found yourself, nothing and no one can make you feel lost again. There's a certain kind of transformation that doesn't need an audience. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't show up with fireworks or grand announcements. It happens quietly, in the dark, far from the eyes of the world. And that's how you know it's real. Because it's not about being seen. It's about becoming. Your transformation is personal, it's sacred, it's yours. And not everyone deserves to be part of it. Not everyone is meant to witness what you're shedding or what you're stepping into. Some people only knew you in your survival phase. They wouldn't recognize you in your healing. They wouldn't understand the version of you that's learning to rise. You don't have to explain why you've changed, why you're quieter now, why you move differently, why you no longer show up where the noise is loudest. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Because while they're busy analyzing your silence, you're busy rebuilding, brick by brick, layer by layer, in private, on purpose. Privacy is a form of power, not secrecy, not isolation, but the kind of focused, grounded solitude that allows you to grow without interference. Because when too many eyes are on your process, too many voices start to weigh in. Opinions, doubts, distractions, they start to sneak in, and before you know it, you're building a life based on how it looks from the outside instead of how it feels on the inside. You owe yourself more than that. This isn't about hiding. It's about honoring the work, giving it space to breathe, giving yourself the freedom to stumble, to start over, to evolve, without needing to explain it to everyone watching. Growth is messy. It's not always pretty, and it's rarely understood while it's happening. That's why you've got to protect it. Keep it close. Let it unfold without the pressure to perform. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will come in the quietest seasons of your life. No cameras, no cheering crowds, just you and the hard truth, you and the small wins, you and the strength you didn't know you had. And when you come out on the other side, stronger, wiser, whole, you won't need to broadcast it. Your presence will carry the weight of everything you've been through. The world may not notice right away. That's okay. You're not here to be noticed. You're here to become. You're here to live a life that reflects the depth of your inner work. A life that doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. A life that is proof, not performance. So let the world wonder where you went. Let them question your silence. You're not disappearing, you're evolving. You're letting go of the noise so you can hear what truly matters. And when the time is right, when the roots are deep and the foundation is strong, you'll emerge, not for approval, not for attention, but because it's time. And when you do, the world won't see the struggle. They'll see the strength. They won't see the process, they'll see the product. And you won't have to say a word. Your life will say everything. So now you understand, this journey is not about proving yourself to the world. It's about finding yourself in the silence, building yourself in the shadows, and protecting your peace like it's sacred, because it is. When you focus on yourself, you begin to see what really matters. And when you stay silent, you begin to hear what truly speaks. You don't need validation to have value. You don't need noise to make progress. You don't need an audience to grow. The real work, the kind that transforms your life, it happens in quiet moments, in consistent effort, in the strength to walk away from chaos, and in the discipline to rise without applause. This is your reminder. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. Protect your energy. Move with purpose. Work on yourself so relentlessly that the results do all the talking. Because in the end, the loudest message is the one you never had to speak. Let your silence build you. Let your focus carry you. And let your life become the proof.